Okay, today we're going to take a look at a cross-site scripting attack. So what a cross-site scripting attack is essentially executing Java code in a form field that the code will execute on the back end. And there are multiple types of cross-site scripting. Two of the most popular are reflected or reflective, however you want to say it, or stored. So for a stored attack, think of a blog website. So if I inject JavaScript into a blog site, that code is stored on that site. So anyone who visits that site, that code is executed against. Whereas a reflected attack is executed against the user in that particular browser session. It's reflected against that user. So let's see how to look for this. First of all, if you want to check this out yourself, this is a intentionally vulnerable website called Hackazon. It's an Amazon ripoff, cheaper, cheesier version, but like a shopping site. So what we're going to do to test for this vulnerability is the old tried and true script that sends an alert. It's going to send an alert box through our browser session. It should pop up in our window if this field is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, which it is. Awesome. So we know it's vulnerable. So what are we going to do? First of all, what do you notice? Right now, take a look. Give you a second. Get request. Our script is in the clear here. We want to copy this request because we're going to use this to hijack a browser session. Now you can use this cross-site scripting for multiple things. You could read system files. You can write to the system and upload files. You could capture keystrokes. So there's a lot of creative stuff you could do with it. So for here, we're going to steal a session. So I'm going to log in as a generic account I created. So this user is essentially an admin, which is what we would go for, right? An administrator. So he does a search, she, and there we go. We've got our results. Now we're going to hijack the session because we know we can inject JavaScript code. So you see that it copied encoded. So we're going to encode our payload. So what I want to do is let's go into here. We're going to read the steal cookie JavaScript. So this just creates a cookie, it encodes it, and it uses fetch to try to fetch a file on our website. This is a local site. This is my server here. This is our Kali server. Or it's going to be a Python HTTP server, but it's an HTTP server. It's going to look in the exfil path, and it's going to pass to the data parameter that encoded value, that encoded cookie. So we want to fire up a Python HTTP server. Now what will happen here is this script will execute just as our alert script executed here. Okay, so we're going to make this execute within the browser. So it's going to pull the cookie from the browser session, which is our user hacker here, their session. Test again. And we are going to then take that cookie and pass it to a data parameter on the Python server. So essentially, I didn't mean to paste there. Essentially, this cookie value with a fetch request should show up here on our HTTP server. It's an HTTP call, right? So now let's go and let's make that happen. So first we're going to do is we're going to use a source. We are going to say this is our server, and we want that steal cookie JavaScript. All right, so now we have our script. And just as the alert script was executed, this script will also be executed, as I said, except for we're not supplying a script directly in the script tags. It's going to run the script from this script source, if that makes sense. So we want to encode this script because we saw that when we copied and pasted it, it came through encoded. So the site's going to want to see that encoded. So we will do that. So now we'll add this encoded script to the string parameter, search string parameter. We're going to copy this whole thing. I'm going to paste it here. Now, normally you would get a user to click this, follow a link, to click a link, phishing attack. There are countless ways you could be creative and get somebody to follow your link. But for the purpose of this explanation, I'm just going to put the link directly in this browser. So if the user had clicked the link and followed it, it would open in their browser. And we see the script here. But on our end, we've got their session ID after the data parameter. There's our get request. Okay, that's the fetch request that we set up. So I'm going to take all the information after the data parameter, and I'm going to do a reverse here. I'm going to decode so that I can see easier to read the actual cookie value. So here's our value. All right, awesome. So we've got it. So we've got this user's cookie. Now, these two processes would normally happen completely separate of one another. So this is happening in the victim's browser. This is running on our end as an attacker. Therefore, on our end, we also have a separate browser. So here's our browser. What we want to do is we want to go to that site. And here we are. We're not logged in. We don't have credentials, but we do have this user session ID. And again, forget about this browser. Pretend this is on a completely separate machine, because in real life, that's how it would work. We're on a new system now. We've had this Python server sitting and waiting for that fetch request. We sent the user our encoded URL, knowing that search string is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, and the user clicked on that link within their browser where they have their session already created and saved as a cookie. Therefore, it passed us their session. So if that's all making sense, now we're going to become that user in a completely different browser that's never logged into this site, completely different system. All we're going to do is we're going to use a cookie manager, which is going to tell us, it's going to show us the cookie for the site that we're currently on. Right? So we're going to click it. We've got a cookie value, but it's an unauthenticated user, as we saw here. We're not logged in. All right? Let's close that. What we're going to do is we're going to overwrite the value we have for an unauthenticated user, and we're going to pass their session cookie that came through in the fetch request. Oh, lost the page. Hold on a second. Let's do that again. We're going to pass that cookie. We're going to save the value, and all we have to do is refresh, and you'll see that we'll be signed in as hacker. Look at that. We've stolen the session. So that's how it works. That's how you steal sessions, steal cookies using cross-site scripting. Geez, say that 3 times fast, right? So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was educational and helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Plenty more to come. I know I've been a little slow with my posting of these videos, but I've had a lot going on. But yeah, I have a lot more planned to post. So, like and subscribe. I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.